let's get started.
Next time we're bringing Willie Mays on. He's the next guy coming, right?
That'd be great. All right, Larry, this is the New York Giants Preservation Society. We meet here pretty religiously on Thursdays. This is our 28th Zoom meeting and our 12th in a row, and we really cannot thank you enough for spending the time. We know the season is a week away, and again, thank you for not only coming on today, but also for bringing that glorious trophy to New York 3 times during the 2010s. It was something that these people here, many who attended, will never, ever forget. And really, Stacy Slaughter got us all together, and really, we can't thank you enough. So that's what I want to start with. So we are going to ask you some questions about the upcoming season. And also, some of us have some ideas to throw at you to just get your thoughts on them and stuff like that. And we are not just a group of Giant fans who are, some of us 3,000 miles away, who are living in the past. You know, we are not just, we don't schmooze. We talk about trying to be active participants with the team that we, most of us here, still follow and worship. So
Not me.
that's okay there, Frank. I know you're a Met fan, but
I'm a
most
Met
of the
fan
people
and
here
Giant fan.
are Giant fans.
I'm
Don't
both.
forget to mute him, Gary.
So Larry, do you want to say a few words first?
Larry.
I think we scared him off.
I think he got off.
Where is he?
It's in a car somewhere.
Mine is Zoom call. Is everything okay for tomorrow?
There was a Larry Baer left message a few minutes
There
ago.
was, that Larry Baer left, and
Uh-oh.
gotta be kidding. I'm sure he'll come back.
Hello.
There he is, 415.
All right, here he is back.
Okay, you got me now?
Yeah, we have you, Larry.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mars.
We have Mars too.
Whoa.
There you go. Larry, I don't know how much.
I'm
I don't know how much
sorry.
he
I
needs
had
himself.
for some reason my iPad's out of juice. I'm in Arizona traveling. It's been it's crazy. So coming to you by phone now.
Okay. I don't know how much you heard. Anyway, we were singing your praises for bringing the trophy in the 3 times, and you just wonderful that you were able to do that and taking time out today with the season only being a week away. A lot of us have some questions for you.
Sure.
I guess the first thing we'd like to ask you though is how are you viewing the upcoming season forecast?
Sorry, I'm in a car here. So you know, our situation is, you know, we use the word trajectory a lot because I think we're on a good trajectory. Each year we've had improvement last couple of years. I think after 2016, we weren't used to a playoff loss, right? I mean, there are players on the team in 2010, 12, and 14 that never lost the playoff series in their careers. They won like 9 in a row, if you include a wild card win. So guys like Buster Posey, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, you know, they're just used to winning. So after 2016, you know, we had sort of a perfect storm of between injuries, and Buster got banged up, and between that and, you know, a lot of ill fortune, we really had to, you know, we did one more shot, which we probably shouldn't have, with some free agents, Samardzija and Cueto and everything. And Cueto's been good, but, you know, Jeff, Samardzija, and some guys that may not have worked out as well. And then so we had to kind of do a total reboot in 2018, 2019, brought in Farhan Zaidi after, a Hall of Fame career from Brian Sabian, Hall of Fame career from Bruce Bochy, and Farhan, and with Gabe Kapler. And so we feel like, that we're poised to really make a run, if not this year, in the next year to 2 years. And we would like this year to be more like 2009. If you remember that, when we played Colorado, when we won 86 games. I remember the last game of the year against Colorado, the last series, and we won the 3 games, and we won 86 games that year. And it was really a building year before the championship. I see this year kind of becoming a little bit like that. Hopefully that will be, or maybe better, but that's kind of where we hope we are in the trajectory.
I hope your words do in fact come true. Steve, you have a question for Larry Baer?
Well, I think I'm going to be able to cover a lot of the bases that everybody wants to talk about. Larry, this kind of kicked off, mostly Gary did this in 2012. Our group was on the field. I'm not sure if you remember that. It was a 55th anniversary of the Giants leaving New York. And we were able to get on the field with Roy McKercher was the bat boy, Ed Logan was on tonight, myself, Gary, Bobby Weinstein, and then your predecessor, Peter McGowan, who was wonderful. May he rest in peace. He got us in the clubhouse and we met Willie Mays. I've been fortunate to meet you several times. I met you in New York. I met you at Scottsdale Stadium with your family. The last time I connected with you was upstairs in the executive offices. I was sitting with Ryan Greenberg. We were talking about the Gotham Club, and you popped in and said to me, are you okay with tickets? And like an idiot, I said yes, and I did have them. But since then, every year, you've covered one of my tickets for the game at Oracle Park, which I overly thank you for. My issues are I
was just there. I was at Scottsdale Stadium 10 minutes ago. Just got in the car.
My wife and I were there Friday night for the game. And
great.
We ran into John Miller, who was one of our Zoom guests a number of weeks back. Gary and I were there at the ballpark in 2004 when you guys brought back the 1954 Giants. I believe there was 18 of them. One that passed away that week, Ruben Gomez. It was a wonderful evening on the field. You still there, Larry?
Yeah, sorry. It's a little funky here. Sorry.
On the field, Willie Mays spoke to the crowd. You had all the guys sitting there, and you actually had the letters, GIANTS, from the Polo Grounds, which you obviously still have. So my first question, and let me get through the 3 questions, is those letters, I know pretty much the ballpark between the Gotham Club, the suite level, the bowling alley. Those letters, our feeling is, should be somewhere. That's question 1. Question 2 is, we've spoken about this almost every week now. We would like to see, especially since he's turning 90, the name of the field changed to Willie Mays Field at Oracle Park. Just keep that in mind. That's the second one. And the third issue is that beautiful wall of fame that you have on the street. I guess it's King Street, 3rd Street in front.
Right.
We would like to see many of the New York Giants, your Bill Terrys, your Eddie Logans, your John McGraws, also up there. And to throw in a 4th one, I'll save Ed Logan the job of doing this. You got the Mike Murphy Clubhouse. How about the visiting clubhouse being named in honor of Eddie Logan? So you got those 4 issues. Hope you remember them. And let's see what your answer is. Thank you.
Good. Those are good issues. All good issues. Wow. I gotta get I'm on the firing line here. I gotta get
Absolutely. And I'm easy. Wait.
Boyer is Russ Stanley. Russ, you there?
I'm here.
You can represent me if I get in trouble. I'm not going to Rick Swing because he'll give away the store.
You know
You
me.
there, Rick? You there,
You
Rick?
know me. Exactly. I will.
Okay. All right. So I'll take them one by one, but
The letters were first.
Russ and Rick on the first one, I've got to plead some ignorance. I don't know exactly where I know those letters are in our possession. I'm not sure exactly where they are, right? Do you guys know where they are?
I think they're at the warehouse, Larry, with Missy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're at the warehouse.
Okay. So it's a good call. I'm not sure why, other than us not focusing on it, why we haven't put them up or put them somewhere. I think you got to put them somewhere appropriate and make it part of a display and a tribute to the Giants of yesteryear in New York, etc. So let me. It's a great issue to raise. What were you
Club
saying?
level, there's room there, certain spots.
In
I
the
think. But
display,
okay.
yeah.
Larry, when I was
I
I
got
was
my
in,
other 3 questions, but go ahead. Keep
Larry,
going.
when I was in Cooperstown a few years ago, I brought up the whole the Wall of Fame out there. Now I know it's a wonderful thing, and there's criteria, and honestly, some of the people who have plaques there weren't considered, wonderful Giants. They just happened to reach the criteria. We would really love to see you honor the Giants in New York in so many ways with
Right.
retired numbers and the flags. The retired numbers are great, and if there was a plaque for those people out there as well, then everybody would really know more about them. And
Right.
we're not looking for everyone, just basically the Hall of Famers who played in New York.
Right. So, I mean, it's a good suggestion, and just in terms of having something on King Street that honors the New York Giants. So the thinking behind the Wall of Fame, and it was really Peter McGowan's invention, and I think it's quite good, is that we have our place in the ballpark to honor our Hall of Famers, both New York and San Francisco, and we have statues for each of the San Francisco Hall of Famers. The notion, really, the meaning behind it is, there's some really terrific, great Giant players that fall just short of the Hall of Fame that should be honored. And that's what the Wall of Fame is. And so Peter came up with rules. And this was his concoction. And as Russ and Rick know, Peter had these little white pads, pamograms, we call them. It said, from the desk of Peter A. McGowan, Pam, and they'd be pamograms. And he would chart out either on that or on a yellow legal pad, all sorts of really, great ideas. He just loved the coming up with thoughts to benefit the Giants. So the rules, and in part it was to get, I think, JT Snow in, and there were some favorites they wanted to make sure were included on the wall. He came up with these, and these are arbitrary. Okay. I won't say that there's any real extreme science to it. Is you have to have 9 consecutive years as a Giant, or 5 consecutive years, and an All-Star appearance. So those are the 2 qualifications. Now, your question, that still doesn't address your question, which is, why only San Francisco? I think that, I think he saw it as something that if we did New York, then, you don't have rolling admissions, right? You have people coming, you have a huge block. And what would the criteria be for New York Giants? Now you say Hall of Famers, and that's fine. But the kind of the premise behind the thing is these are great players that we all want to acknowledge, but they're not Hall of Famers. They never did get to the Hall of Fame. I mean, it includes Hall of Famers. Barry Bonds is up there, etc. Barry's out in the Hall, but Willie Mays is up there, but it's a group well beyond the Hall of Fame. That's kind of the premise. So if we did include New York, I'm just thinking out loud here, where's the cutoff? Do you have that same kind of criteria of 9 consecutive years and 5 years as an All-Star, or 5 years as All-Star, or you come up with other criteria? So you have to brainstorm that.
But the field, Willie Mays Field.
Okay. So Willie Mays Field. So, we've thought about that. We actually presented a similar concept to AT&T. So as you know, even though we've had 4 different names on the park in 20 years, 21 years, we really only had 2 different companies, right? So Pacific Bell was merged with SBC. So it went from Pac Bell Park to SBC Park to AT&T Park. Then they were bought by AT&T. So that's one company, 3 names. And then the new name is Oracle. We have talked actually, I think to both. I know for sure to AT&T, and I think we might have raised it with Oracle, but Oracle, we had to get something quickly to happen. Because AT&T was walking, they were having financial issues, still are having financial issues with debt, et cetera. So they were kind of moving from all their deals, away from all their deals. But the question is, they would view it, the reason I'm going into all that detail is they would view it as having would in some way diminish their name. Now, you could argue it the other way. I would argue it the other way to them, right? That Willie Mays feel that Oracle Park just enhances Oracle Park, enhances the name Oracle Park. So I'm not saying that that's not a good argument back, but in the end, if they're going to say whatever it is, I mean, these are, crucial dollars, especially now that, they've been Oracle, for instance, where they had every right to reduce their payments to us in the pandemic with 60 games total and 30 from Oracle Park. They didn't reduce their rights. They hung in there with us as a great partner. So I think that's kind of where you start, is whoever that other company has to agree to it. Willie is a treasure, and tying into his legend, especially as he turns 90, it's a great idea. So I think we should entertain it, actually, but we'd have to get Oracle's approval.
What about the Eddie Logan Clubhouse? Has that ever been discussed?
Yeah, I mean,
That's the
I
last point.
think I have to look at Eddie's, maybe Russ and Rick know, or you guys all know. I mean, so Eddie, we have the Murph Clubhouse. Was Eddie in the visiting clubhouse the whole time? Because he
No.
was in the Giants clubhouse too, right?
Yeah, hi, Rick. This is Eddie. My grandfather and my
Oh, there's
father
Eddie.
were the Giants clubhouse managers up till 1979. Well, my grandfather had the Yankees, and he died in 46. But my dad had it all the way up to 79. He hired Mike Murphy.
Yeah.
And Mike just sent me a autographed copy of The Stick to the Cove. But one thing you may not know, and I can't believe we haven't met, Larry, after all these years.
Yeah. Nice to meet
But,
you over the phone.
My dad and Horace Stoneham were put in the Cactus League Hall of Fame as pioneers of what is now the 15-team Cactus League.
Okay.
There is a book called So Many Seasons in the Sun that documents all of the clubhouse managers for the Giants and the Yankees. That's available from Dr. Larry Hogan. The history is all there. All we have to do is pull it up and take a look at it.
Wow, fantastic. Okay. But you said, so your grandfather, how many years in
From the beginning of the Yankees till 1946, and then
That's
he
incredible.
hired the follow-on guy, and then my dad hired Mike Murphy. So it was a continuing thing. One went from the other, and Mike just retired a couple of years ago. In fact, I just talked to him on the phone.
You have Mike Murphy?
Yes, Mike
Yeah,
Murphy
he's
and I.
retired, sort of.
I came out. I was the last bat boy in New York in a 57 team. So when I came out that summer, 58, by the time I got to San Francisco, it was too late. Somebody else had already gotten the bat boy thing. But Mike and I were 17, 18-year-olds, and we've been friends ever since. So he went on to work in the visiting clubhouse for George Natriano. My dad had always had the Giants home clubhouse, both in New York and San Francisco until 1979.
So how would you feel about his name on the visiting clubhouse?
Well, it's good. I would go for it. Murphy, you can't change Murphy. Murphy was there. Murphy is San Francisco, what people think of as San Francisco, but my dad had it from 58 to 79. So that's no small thing, So no, I just get it there. That's all I care about.
Would you come out for the dedication?
Larry, the same thing. We're trying to get the Hall of Fame to recognize clubhouse managers. Never mind bat boys, but clubhouse managers.
I didn't realize they don't, there's no designation at all there.
No, none. There's depictions of the clubhouse, you have lockers and so
Yeah.
on and so forth, but not who runs that. And the equipment guys who
Yeah.
actually assign the numbers that were retired, the famous numbers.
Yeah.
There's every reason to do it. They haven't done it yet.
Well, just so you know, Murph is sort of retired.
Yeah.
When we have a home game, he's there in the
Yes.
clubhouse.
He's a professor emeritus kind of thing.
He is. And everybody still congregates, in his clubhouse, as Rick and Russ know. In his office, there's Willie and there's Orlando and there's, Will Clark comes through when he's not in uniform, and Trevecki and Jeffrey Leonard.
Well,
Yeah,
when
so-
I was back, I used to, play catch with Willie. We're exactly 10 years apart. My birthday's in April, so I'll be 80 April 20th, and he'll be 90 May 6th. So when he was throwing a ball at me, I was 16, and he liked to smack it in my glove to see if I could drop it. And then he would say, "Stick to the drums, Ed," because that's what I was playing in high school.
You're a drummer?
Yes, well, I was, but they used to kid me, say, "You're not going to be a ball player. You're going to go to college." So that's what happened. I went in the Air Force, so I'm a retired Air Force officer.
Oh, wow. So Willie was 10 years older.
Yes.
Because he had this history. I remember going to going to games with my dad, and Willie would always play catch with the Bat Boys. Then later, now we're talking way into the 60s.
That's right.
70s. One of them was somebody we know, contemporary of ours, Steve Sokoloff.
Okay.
Rick and Russ know him.
Yeah. Well, in my day, there was only one bat boy and one visiting bat boy. And the visiting bat boy was my best friend from the neighborhood in the Bronx. And he got the better deal because he got every one of the uniforms that came in, from all the teams. I was stuck with the Giants. So we didn't have a good year in 57, but I loved it. And I actually flew out on the plane. I graduated in 58 in June, and the Giants were playing Philadelphia. My dad came to Carnegie Hall, where Music and Art was having its graduation, and I actually flew on the team plane back to San Francisco, and worked in the stands at Seal Stadium that summer before I started college.
Wow.
I go way back.
Wow, that's incredible. That's great. It's such a wonderful, who was it? Was it the clubhouse guy at the Dodgers, or it was the traveling secretary of the Dodgers? Remember him?
Yes.
He was there forever. What
That's
was his name?
Harold Parrott.
Yeah. Well, we
Is that
had
who it
Eddie
was?
Brannick. Eddie Brannick was our secretary, and my dad worked for him and did a lot of his tour. He traveled with the team. My dad did the hotel and all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah. But what
Eddie
about
Brannick.
Frankie Bergonzi? What was
Frankie Berganza, I love that guy. He was like a godfather to me.
He was incredible. Yeah.
Larry, you're thinking of Billy DeLury.
Billy DeLury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. Did Billy step down, a few years ago, Russ?
Yeah, he's since passed away.
Oh, he passed away. Oh, so.
Yeah, but a year or two ago.
So Russ, in the Hall of Fame here in Cactus League, they put Vita Blue in last year, and then the clubhouse manager from the Cubs, Yosh Kiwanis. He couldn't make it. He was in a rest home. He couldn't make it, but they put him in the Cactus League Hall of Fame.
Everybody
Good
loved
guy.
Yosh. I remember hearing all of the stories about Yosh. Yeah.
That was a great guy. He and my dad were real close. And then Doc Bowman, who was our trainer, his brother was the trainer for St. Louis Cardinals. So my dad loved going into St. Louis. For one thing, he got all the beer he wanted. Budweiser.
Any of you guys in touch? Anybody else in touch with Murph?
Yeah, he just called me twice in this past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's doing all right. He doesn't do internet stuff. He doesn't do, IT.
No,
So
hasn't discovered.
He sent me
Did he
his
call you on
book
a landline?
Yeah, I have his phone number, and then he sent me the card of a picture. I don't know if you can see it, a picture of him and our Hall of Famers. This was I guess, the Christmas card, Larry,
Yeah.
for the
I love
Giants.
that picture. Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Show it again. Show it.
Okay. You see
Higher.
Murph in the middle?
Raise it up.
Higher.
Eh?
Higher, Eddie.
Oh,
Put it
wow.
up higher.
There you go.
You see Murph at the top?
Sure.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Not Murphy.
Yeah, he sent me 2 of those. Murph and I have been close friends. In fact, Murph was a pallbearer at my dad's funeral in San Francisco back in '94.
Really. Oh, wow.
Very close.
Dave Lippman, you have a question, Dave?
Ed, I have a question for you. My name is George. I run a men's club in Melville, and about 15 years ago, we had a guest, and he was the Giants bat boy in the visiting clubhouse. He came from Long Island, out east, maybe around Smithtown.
McCabe.
I
McCabe.
can't remember his name, but he told us a story of how he got the job as the bat boy. It was
Yes.
one of the most amazing stories. When he was a little kid, he walked out on the street and he was walking by the polo grounds and he saw Horace. Somebody came over to him and said, "Hey, kid, you get me a sandwich?" He said, "Yeah, here, I'll go to the store for you." He came back and gave me a sandwich, and the same thing happened the next day.
What did you touch?
And I think Horace Stoneham said, "I'll give you a tip. Here's a tip for you." He says, "No, I'm doing you a favor." The next day he came back again. It happened at 4 or 5 days in a row. And he came back and he said, "Listen, kid, you're a real good kid. I'm going to give you a job. Would you want a job as the Giant bat boy?" And he had the job for about 10 or 12 years, I think, back in the 50s. And he came back and he told us stories about his favorite ball players. And he mentioned his favorite ball player in the visiting dugout, he said, was Del Crandall. I'll never forget that. And he really was a very interesting guest when he came.
The guy who hired him was Ed's father.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. A similar story for Mike Murphy. Larry, did you ever know about Garth Garou, who was the bat boy in the late 40s? And there's a
Wrote
famous
a book called Bat Boy of the Giants.
Bat Boy of the Giants. Yeah. See, that's another reason about the Hall of Fame. And he went on
Hey,
to be a
Eddie.
naval aviator, and he crashed off a aircraft carrier.
Oh,
Eddie, Mo Resner.
Mo, tell Larry about your movie.
Do you know the name of the guy, that bat boy that I'm talking about?
McCabe. Yeah, McCabe.
Yes, I think
No.
that was it.
He's a
Yeah.
friend of mine. Yeah, sure. I don't know if he's alive anymore, but
I don't know.
he-
We
he
had him about
passed
15
away.
years ago. He was an older guy then. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Passed away.
he passed away. Dave Lippman, you're up. Dave, take your mic off.
Take your mic off.
Unmute. There you
Hey,
go.
Larry, I want to thank you very much for joining us and for bringing the World Series trophies from 2010, 12, and 14 home. It was one of the biggest moments of my life, was getting to have breakfast with Willie Mays and get my picture with the World Series trophies. My family's been rooting for the team since 1908. And
wow.
I was even more grateful when your team gave me a Gotham Club card, which unfortunately I haven't had a chance to use yet. But I know Grandpa and Dad will be expecting me to do so. I just wanted to share with you a couple of things you might want to think about. You know, we're talking about honoring people involved with the Giants. Another one is Matty Schwab, who lived in the grounds. He should definitely be recognized in some way. Also, Eddie Grant, who was a Giant who gave his life for his country in the war to end all wars. I noticed that the Yankees have their Yankeeography TV shows, the biographies of their greats. There's no reason the Giants, with their history, both past players and present, can't do their own Giantographies and put them on TV or sell the DVDs or you know, have them available for download. The only team in baseball that is old timers games is the Yankees. There's no reason the Giants can't do that. And the Giants have done at least 2 turn back the clock night days that I know of. There's no reason that you can't put those guys in uniforms from the 50s and 60s and do them again. I remember the one from, I think it was 92 with Matt Williams, came out as Babe Ruth, and they brought out cars from the 1920s, and Kruk and Kipe were Prohibition era gangsters, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you guys are very inventive with your promotions. I remember opposite day when the Cincinnati, the Reds and you played literally a split city doubleheader. I think those things like that would be badly needed in the wake of COVID to boost morale. But like I said, I really want to,
Dave, I mean, that's great.
I really want to thank you for
Yeah.
sending me that Gotham Club card. I mean, it meant
Well,
so much to me.
thanks for all your support and the love for the franchise. Hold on,
Since
my sneeze.
1908.
Hang on. Okay, stop the sneeze. So I remember that breakfast really vividly because Buster, if I'm not mistaken, Buster Posey was there too, right?
That's
Yes,
correct.
he was.
He
He
was
was
the
on.
first
I
one.
saw him on his way to Yogi Berra's house in Montclair.
Right. Right. It was Buster and Willie, and that was just to
Panic.
me.
And
What's
panic.
that?
And
Did Joe
Panic.
panic? Did
Panic
Joe
was
go too,
20
or was it
No,
No,
Joe
that
got
was
Buster?
2014.
Panic was
Panic
14.
was 2014. Yeah.
Yep.
And who's a local for you guys, upstate
Oh
New
yeah,
York, right?
Yonkers.
Yes, from
That's
Hope
right.
Rock Junction.
Yeah, or
Dutchess
Yonkers.
County.
But that breakfast was spectacular, and it just I felt like we were in rarefied air with Willie and Buster, and how Buster in many ways, somewhat of a different persona, but a lot of the same amazing early achievements in his career. Willie, World Series winner in 1954. Buster wins it in 2010. So very early in their careers, both with MVPs early on, fairly early for Willie. I mean, so it's those were incredible times. And I think we're there's cycles, and we hit a little bit of a rough cycle here last few years, and then COVID. But I'm really excited about where we're going in the next few years. And do you guys? So when the Giants play the Mets, do you go?
Absolutely.
We have.
Okay.
Can I tell you what I do? When
Yeah.
the Mets are up, I put on my Met hat. And when the Giants are up, I put on my Giant hat.
I love it. The mix. Have you ever seen those hats? Russell, remember them, the split hats. There was when the Giants and A's were in the World Series. You could get a split hat, but I don't think. I think you're more of a Giants fan, though, right?
Me?
You better be.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Good answer.
I know it's early in his career still, but do you envision Buster Posey long-term being part of the organization?
Hopefully so. Yeah, it's a good question. Well, first of all, this is the last year of his playing contract. Our real hope is, that he has a really good year, which we think is possible. He had a little bit of a hip soreness a few days ago, but I think he's playing tonight or tomorrow. He's doing fine now, and they're taking it slow. But our real hope is that he has a really good year, and we could, have another playing contract. He has a player contract in front of him. So I really think, the old expression, where there's a will, there's a way. And I really do believe that Buster will finish his career as a Giant and then stay in the organization. How that I can't ordain that. And ultimately, the baseball, the people that make baseball decisions and recommend them to us as, board members are going to have to be okay with that. But he's such a really the signature of our franchise for the last decade. And I just can't, it's hard to imagine him not having a role in the organization for the rest of his playing days and then beyond. He lives permanently in the Bay Area, which, a lot of players don't do, whether it's taxes or just they're from other parts of the country or other parts of the world. So they live other places, Texas, Florida, Arizona, a lot live in Arizona. But Buster bought a house in Lafayette. on the East Bay and is really committed to the community. And I think you've heard about his work with juvenile cancer, pediatric cancer, actually, and creating awareness and funding. He and Kristen tied into UCSF and other institutions. So he's just royalty as far as we're concerned. So hard for me personally, now speaking personally, to envision him in another uniform ever.
Perfect. Mars, give it a shot, Mars.
Well, first, thank you, Larry, for appearing on our Zoom meeting. We respect you very much, and we're again happy that you joined us. I just want to let you know that I was there for the groundbreaking. I bought a charter seat license in 1997, and I photographed Peter McGowan together. I'm a professional photographer and writer, but for jazz magazines. But here's the most important point now, and this is a precedent. It's called Ricky Henderson Field Ring. So we're not changing the name at all. We're just adding Willie Mays Field while he's still alive. We would love to see this happen. So there's a sense of urgency here, and we're hoping that it just doesn't get swept under the rug. I know there's so many important things you have to do with the season, with how many people. I'll be at the April 14th game as part of letting in a certain amount of season ticket holders at a time. Boy, we would all, this entire club, would like to see Willie Mays Field at Oracle Park with that sense of urgency while he's still.
Now, I think so. And, I mean, if we were going to do that, something like that, you see all these tributes when people are not alive. For Willie, especially with his 90th birthday, 6 weeks away, basically, it would be the time. As I say, it won't be only my decision, but I want to talk to some people, and I think it's a really, really good thought. But as I say, we have to be fair to our partner, in this case, Oracle, now that, they've got to go along with it.
Larry, are they planning something for his Willie's 90th birthday?
Yeah, we've got some announcements. This would be maybe the crowning announcement. Excuse me. But yeah, there's going to be some great things, and there's going to be, there's no doubt, obviously, he's the greatest living player, and so there's going to be some really nice tributes. And actually, it's not official, so I can't really talk about it, but there's going to be a very high profile show done on Willie coming.
Can I get a word in here? Gary?
Go ahead, Frank.
With all respects to Willie Mays, if I was asked the standard interview question, who is the greatest living American, he'd be it. But I don't believe that the stadium should be named for any one player. The only sports arena that I know named for an individual competitor is the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, but there he was an individual. No player.
Not true.
I can't figure out the exact words. No player should be, is that great to the whole a team in a park?
Not true.
Be named after him.
Ricky Henderson Field.
Oh, they're doing something for Hank Aaron right now, I think.
I'm opposed to that too. But
Thanks
Well,
for
we
your,
have Frank
thanks
Cush
for your,
Field at ASU.
thanks for your input,
oh,
Frank.
pardon me, a college stadium, yes, but not the big league stadium where he went to school or something. That's something else. All right,
Larry, before I turn over to somebody else, if there is this big party, we had a guest on here who is actually Giant royalty, Bill Rigney's son, Tom Rigney.
Yeah.
Who is a famous, San Francisco musician. He came on and played Bye Bye Baby for us, and then spoke about his father's career. He would love to play the anthem at Oracle Park. Who would he speak to about doing that? Because Mays would, of course, remember him. Be great if he did it on that party day.
That's great. I mean, Tom, that's Russ. We should mention that to Mario. it's the anthems are a little funky now with COVID, but you're saying he does it like on Willie's birthday or something, or close
Yes,
to Willie's
and
birthday? Yeah.
he
Well,
loved the idea of performing
what
at
does he do?
stadium.
I should know. What does he play?
He plays the flute, the
Okay.
fiddle. I'm sorry, he's a fiddler.
Fiddle?
He plays
Okay.
Cajun music. He's been in the San Francisco area for decades.
The band is called Flambeau, Larry.
It's a
Flambeau,
big
okay.
website. You can see it on the
Yeah,
website.
Flambeau. I actually had something to do getting him there because I know a friend of his in San Mateo.
And
Oh, really?
Mays played for the father. You know, he was the last manager in New York, first manager in San Francisco.
Yeah. No, Rig, and I knew Bill Rigney some. What an amazing guy. Russ and Rick, I think, knew him too. He was so great. Oh, he was just a sweetheart of a person. And
Well, son is just as good. He's a great guy. He was on with us for, must have been 2 hours. He was
Let
wonderful.
Larry talk.
no,
And
no, it's
and he
good.
went to
Where
Harvard
does-
too, I think. He went to Harvard as well.
Where does
Correct.
Tom live?
He lives in San Francisco.
In the city? Okay. Well, Russ, we'll get a hold of him. I mean, he should definitely play. We're doing some anthems are getting recorded these days because it's hard to have people on the field. In today's till we get COVID behind us.
Yeah,
All
his
you guys staying healthy?
exact words were, he'd be honored.
Yeah, no, that's
Hey,
another.
Gary.
You guys are full of good ideas. Jeez, Louise.
That's right. That's
This
why
is
we got to
great.
talk all the time.
You always come up with. You always like this, you guys.
Always.
I'm coming on more often.
When
get all the
you're
good ideas.
3,000 miles away, you gotta play a little harder.
Hey, Gary.
We
Yes,
love
Mo.
our team.
Hello.
Mo, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to thank Larry for treating me like a king at Wrigley Field and also at AT&T Park as a Chicago Cub fan. So
Yeah.
Renee,
just on
go
a
ahead,
Zoom.
Renee.
Yeah, go ahead. Renee,
Renee?
go.
How you doing, Larry?
You're welcome, by the way, and I love seeing you there.
thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
take
you
care.
for being a part of today's.
Go Cubs, go
movement.
Giants.
But one of the things that I'm really proud of what the Giants have done is be a part of. I'm from New York, and being a part of the rehabilitation of the John T. Brush staircase. You were part of it with all the other New York teams that were involved. I mean, it shows everything about history with that staircase. And I think that's what we're talking about, history with not only the San Francisco Giants, but New York. I understand you have partners with Oracle Park, you have to talk to them. But Madison Square Garden, their partners is Chase, and there's Chase Bank everywhere. Yankee Stadium, everywhere, but that's the name. Willie Mays is pretty famous as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it's a great idea.
I'm sure
I
you
just-
brought this to your attention, but that would be something to think about.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's also
And
not
I
a New
believe
York
me, I would
thing.
give you guys the credit for the idea. I mean, the idea's been out there, but to bring it for Willie at age 90. Now, some people might say, I'm just going to tell you what some people could say. They could say, hang on a second. The address is 24 Willie Mays Plaza. It's there's a statue of Willie right in front. There's a lot of Willie iconographic, memorabilia in and around the ballpark. Don't need to do it or whatever. I think in some ways that's an argument to do it, just kind of complete the circle while he's alive.
I agree. I have one other thing I have to tell you. This made my mom laugh so hard when I did this, because I used to hear stories from her. She was a Giants fan. So when you guys, not only once, not only twice, but 3 times brought the trophy to New York, I knew somebody when I was in New York that was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. I raced to him. I mean, I couldn't go because I was working, but I went over to him and just poured it on. What did your Dodgers do when they won? Did they bring it over? Do they remember history? No. My mom laughed her butt off. My friend was angry.
That's great.
Basically get away. I mean, thank you for that as well. Thank you.
No, that was so great. I mean, and who was great about it? I know there's a couple of Mets fans on here. What was great about it were the Mets and Yankees. I called the head of the Mets and the head of the Yankees and asked them, you okay? We're not, it's kind of your territory. And we took the trophy to you and went down to Finnerty's downtown, and we had the different events, trophy tour events, and the Mets and Yankees were great about it. There was no problem, and they hey, celebrate, you deserve it. So great. Yeah.
The Polo Grounds is history, sports history. And, it would be nice, with not only Willie Mays, but to expand on that at the park as well.
Yeah. How many of you think,
Larry,
how many of you think you could get to Willie Mays Field at Oracle Park this year?
Be great.
In
Larry,
honor
do
of
you still have an 8 o'clock deadline?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got to go on the KMBR weekly thing. That's the first one is happening tonight. Thank you, Gary, for mentioning it. So I got to jump to get ready for that. It's coming in about 3 minutes. So
we want to thank you so much. I hope.
Yes, thank you, Larry.
I know we inundated you with some ideas, but I hope some can
there's some
possibly
really
come
good
to
ones.
fruition.
Mays
So-
Field and-
And we would, of course, love for you to carry that big piece of trophy back to New York one day, and we'll still be here.
yeah, the trophies are still here, but let's get a new one.
That's what we
A
want.
new one.
That's what
A
we
new
want.
one next year.
More trophies.
And I also want to especially thank Rick Swig for brokering
Yeah.
the deal. Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you to Larry for joining us. He's very busy, and it's only a week before the season, so we should be very thankful that he showed up.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Larry,
Larry.
you're always
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for thinking of me.
Thank
you're
you,
always
Larry.
welcome to hop aboard.
True
So,
gentleman.
everybody,
Take
give
good
it up
care
for
of
Larry
Russ
Baer.
and-
Thank you, Larry.
You guys, thank you. Take good care of Russ and Rick. We need them. Okay, thanks so much, guys.
Giants
well.
Magazine.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, and stay healthy. Stay
You
healthy.
too.
I want to see you guys in San
too.
Francisco.
Happy
Beat the
holidays.
Dodgers.
We'll see you at Mays Field.
All right.
Yeah.
Good idea.
That's
Right.
it. There we
Very
go.
good.
Good answer.
All right, guys, let's, since we didn't have any